please rise for the entrance of the Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, the Honorable Janet Austin.
Thank you so much. As always, it's important that we acknowledge the Coast Salish peoples, the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, upon whose traditional territory we gather today, and to thank them for sharing these lands in peace and friendship. Aitsquaicho, Schelacha, Aikwanis Kwanangahela. Knowing as I do the importance of the relationship between the Crown and Indigenous peoples, and knowing that supporting reconciliation is not just saying the words of a land acknowledgement, it's really about what you do, I've been making an effort to learn a bit of Sinchothan, which is the traditional language of the Huasanich people, a little bit north of where Government House is in Victoria. And so I'm sure there are some real speakers here in the room who will tell you that I just massacred that. But what I was trying to say to you is, good day, dear friends. It's wonderful to be among you today, and I mean that most sincerely. I also want to thank Chief Leah George for her gift of a traditional blessing, which we all, I know, appreciate very much. Haiska Kwan's Diwia, thank you for your words. Thanks also to Mr. Herman Ho, who is behind me here, and he joins me today as what's called my honorary aide-de-camp. It's always a pleasure to work with Herman, even if sometimes people think he is the Lieutenant Governor, right? You'd be amazed how often it happens, where someone will come up to me and say, "Can we have a picture?" And so I get ready to have my picture taken, and then they give me the camera, take a picture of this guy, right? So part of that is the uniform, but also part of it is that people don't expect to see a woman in the role, and I think that that's worth remembering. I also want to express my deep, deep appreciation to the co-organizers of this event, the leaders, Jill Earthy and Lois Naherney, who conceptualized this and have brought it to life for many years since. So there's a saying that vision without execution is hallucination, right? It's not true for Jill and Lois. They've taken that vision and they've made it into a huge success. And I'd like us all to give them a big round of applause. Thank you. So as I was thinking about what to say to you this morning, I checked the instructions that I received. And guess what I was asked to do? Be inspiring. Like, no pressure, right? I think be perspiring is probably a little bit more like it. So I am the last person in the world who would ever set myself up as what's called an inspirational speaker. But what I can do is tell you a little bit about who it is that inspires me. And that would be you, the young women of the world who are leading on so many complex issues that we must grapple with in society today. Issues like poverty and inequality, racism and intolerance, violence against women, and the questions of equality and gender diversity that we explore in this room today. And of course, the really big one, which is climate change. Many of us adults, I think, feel paralyzed and overwhelmed by the complexity and the magnitude of these issues. But I take great hope from the young leaders who are emerging on the world stage today as powerful voices for action. These young women have the courage to speak truth to power. Now, I'm not telling you that it is up to youth to solve the problems that we adults have created. That would be a total abdication of responsibility. And it is, in fact, our responsibility to address these things. But we do need to listen, and we need to act. I think of Emma Gonzalez, who led the students of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High to call out hollow political rhetoric and brought about unprecedented changes to 67 gun laws in 26 US states. We all think about Greta Thunberg, who's mobilizing millions of students and adults in countries around the world on climate action. And she is right when she tells us that if we do not act now, then almost no other question is going to matter in the future. With us today, we have a number of young leaders who are providing inspiration for all of us. There's Kiana Alexander of the Raven Institute, a voice for healing and reconciliation. Amal Al-Awaishi, whose courage in escaping in arranged marriage in Saudi Arabia has made her a powerful and a compelling advocate for gender equality. And Asha Diaz, whose voice and words help youth to grapple with the challenges of mental health. I think these leaders understand that setting an example is not the best way to influence others. In fact, it is the only way. And they are an inspiration to all of us. They're certainly an inspiration to me. So we're here today to explore questions of equality and gender diversity and to find ways to work together to create a more equal society. Now, that is something I've worked for my entire life. And I would be sadly remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to talk about the F word, which I think you all know is feminism. So if you believe in equality, you're a feminist. That's all there is to it. And there are many different ways to be a feminist. A few years ago, I stumbled upon a primer entitled Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Feminism, but Were Afraid to Ask, which I highly recommend, both for its educational and its entertainment value. So it gives definitions of all the major feminisms. Aside from plain old feminism, there is liberal feminism, essentialist feminism, cultural feminism, third wave feminism, post-feminism, anti-porn feminism, pro-sex feminism, girly feminism, and of course, radical feminism. And contrary to popular belief, it takes more than hairy armpits and a poor sense of humor to qualify as a radical feminist. There's also the I'm not a feminist, but feminism. And this is a statement in support of a feminist position accompanied by a blunt disclaimer, such as, I'm not a feminist, but I organized a campaign against sexual harassment at my school, or I'm not a feminist, but I believe in a woman's right to choose. Now, this is the category that many women and girls that I meet fall into, and so the word has a little bit of an image problem. But what it all reminds me of is how important it is to value the rich tradition of women and of men who in different ways and from different perspectives have worked towards the full realization of gender equality and gender diversity. And it also reminds me that the word itself is less important than the actions. Nonetheless, I'm going to give you my 3 favorite definitions of feminism. The first is Timothy Leary, so the older demographic here will remember who he is. But Timothy Leary said, women who seek to be equal with men lack ambition. Right? Rebecca West, I don't know what a feminist is, but I do know that people accuse me of being one when I express sentiments that distinguish me from a doormat. And the third one, which is my favorite, is from 1910, the Oxford Athenaeum, and it is, a feminist is any woman who has the courage within herself to fight her way to independence. So to me, to be a feminist is to be yourself, your best, your most powerful, your most passionate self. It is to find your work, to find your purpose, and then with all your heart, to give yourself to it. Your voices and your leadership are needed now more than ever. And I want to thank all of you for helping us to see, as I know you will, the bigger picture, the longer term, the larger purpose, and to create that better world. You do give me hope for a better world. You really, truly do. And I thank you for that. Heichka